Ed Gillespie is joining us momentarily. And hey, what better day to have Ed Gillespie on, front runner for the GOP nomination for governor, after he rolls out this big economic reform package, which we're going to talk about. But it is also one of Ed Gillespie's favorite days of the year. Not his birthday, not Christmas. It is St. Patrick's Day. Ed Gillespie, happy St. Patrick's Day, sir. Good to have you with us.
Top of the morning to you, John.
You can't get more Irish than Ed Gillespie, I'll tell you that, right? I mean...
No, I'm the proud son of an Irish immigrant, and, in my house, St. Patrick's Day was a national holiday.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, right? National holiday in the Ed and Kathy Gillespie household, son of Irish immigrants. So happy St. Patrick's Day. Just for the record, the best St. Patrick's Day party in history going on tonight, thrown by Jerry Connolly, Democrat Congressman Jerry Connolly, whose hair is on fire today because of Trump's budget wanting to cut all these federal workers. This is actually his plan to win Virginia.
My invitation must have gotten lost in the mail, John.
I got one from Jerry Connolly. I didn't get one from Gillespie, though.
I didn't get one from Connolly, I can tell you that.
I know, you didn't get one. You should have gotten one from Connolly. See, there's certain days you got to put all your differences aside, right? And you got to do what you have to do. Okay, let's get to serious business. Yesterday, well, first of all, Denver Riggleman dropping out of the race. I know you made a statement on it. You just want to share that with our audience.
I came to know Denver during the course of this campaign. Genuinely good person, good guy, in it for all the right reasons. I'd be, not be being honest if I didn't say I was a little relieved that there's one, fewer nominee contestant, running against me and for the nomination. But I tell you, I found myself a lot of times. You spend a lot of time with your opponents, and I would find myself listening to Denver and thinking, that's a really good point. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to miss him in the race from a personal level, not from a political perspective in some ways. But he's going to remain a voice. Denver made an incredibly strong first impression on a lot of people as a first-time candidate. I know what it's like to be a first-time candidate. This is my second time running, and being a first-time candidate is hard. And he was very natural, and it's because he was in it for all the right reasons. And like I say, I don't even want to talk past tense. He's out of the race, but he's not out of involvement, I can assure you, in Virginia politics, and he shouldn't be. We need him.
Well, I think you'll be back, and look, I think you added something, as you said, to the race. But look, honesty is the best policy. There were 4, now there's 3. You're the front runner, no doubt. I have to share with our audience that the Gillespie campaign and Ed Gillespie had a press conference yesterday, a telephone press conference, where he rolled out a pretty significant tax reform economic growth package for Virginia that I got to say caught everybody by surprise on the media end because it was pretty significant and in-depth. And you also had Majority Leader and Speaker in waiting Kirk Cox on the phone explaining some of it, along with Senator Mark Obenshain. And what you're promising if you're elected governor, Ed, the way I saw your call yesterday, is pretty robust economic growth in Virginia through a series of both state and local tax reductions. You want to share some of this with our audience?
I do, John. Thank you. Our individual income tax rates were established in 1972, and they have never come down since. 45 years. States around us have been moving and becoming more aggressive and competitive, and we need to foster more small business formation in Virginia and more small business expansion. And also, a lot of Virginians hardworking, have not seen their wages go up in years, and yet prices have gone up for housing and healthcare and food and college, and they're squeezed. They're caught between stagnant wages and rising prices. We're losing people who are retiring and moving out of Virginia. We want more retirees to stay in Virginia, but they're heading to lower tax states, and so we've got to bring our rates down. And I looked at the numbers, and it turns out that we are projecting an increase in revenue in Richmond over the next 5 years of $3.4 billion with a B dollars. And if we set aside, $2 billion of that, preserve that to meet our needs and protect core functions in education, public safety, transportation, healthcare, we can still have $1.3 billion to bring down those rates and phase them in over a 3-year period. We could have a 10% across-the-board rate cut for all Virginians. And that would have a significant impact on hardworking Virginia families. In fact, it would be nearly $1,300 a year in higher take-home pay and more disposable income for the average Virginia family of 4. It would also result in the creation of over 53,000 full-time, good-paying private sector jobs in Virginia. That would be a 25% increase over what we're projecting right now in terms of job creation, and we need that. We're in the bottom 10 states right now on a quarterly basis in economic growth. We were, for the annual basis, in 14 in the bottom 10 states. Virginia, that's just infuriating. Our economic growth has been anemic for 5 straight years. We've got to change things. If we want anything to change, we're going to have to change it.
Right.
And by putting a focus on startups and scale-ups, I think we'll get our economy moving again.
All right, so so that everybody understands, what did Gillespie proposed yesterday? 10% reduction in your personal income taxes in Virginia. Average family of 4, that's going to be $1,300 in your pocket. 10% reduction in corporate taxes if you own a business in Virginia.
No, John, let me pause for a second there. I'm sorry, John. I just don't want to, because I looked at reducing the corporate income tax rate, and I didn't touch it. And the reason is, John, 2/3 of C Corps in Virginia pay 0 corporate income taxes. They're able to mitigate their tax burden. But individuals, so to your point on the corporate side, if you are a subchapter S or a limited liability corporation, an LLC, or a sole entrepreneur, if you're a small business, essentially, your tax rate is in the individual tax code. And so by bringing down the individual rates, you make it easier for small businesses to form and expand. So I'm sorry, but I didn't want anyone to think I was cutting the corporate rate, because I looked at it and decided that's not what we need to get job creation going in Virginia, actually.
Right, but if you own a business, like I do,
yes,
like my wife and I do, this is what I was referring to. So you own a business, or you have a C corporation or an LLC, and you actually own the business and derive your income from the business, then de facto you're getting under your plan, you're getting a 10% reduction.
Yes, for small business owners, correct.
For small business owners,
who pay in the individual code, right?
Right. So you're getting it. So and that for an average family of 4, $1,300. You put the money back in the economy, and you estimate you're going to increase jobs by 53,000 over what's already projected. Of course, the question immediately is, and then I want to get to the local taxes. Okay, we have a balanced budget amendment in Virginia. So, of course, the Democrats are immediately going to say, oh, you're going to take the money out of kindergartners, schools, lunch programs, etc. Where are you going to make up that money?
Well, John, this is from projected growth in revenue. And so we're actually going to be on those priorities, those core functions of government. They are protected. And, in fact, the spending will go up for those by $2 billion with a B dollars. What I'm saying is for every $3 in spending increase from those projected revenue growth, let's take $2 and give it back to the taxpayers and allow them to have some relief, like I say, for those families feeling squeezed by stagnant incomes and wages and rising prices. Let's have more retirees stay here in Virginia, which is good for our economy. And let's make it easier for startups and scale-ups to flourish in Virginia, which we desperately need right now. And that, to me, is smart policy, and it protects those core functions, does not cut a dime from them. In fact, allows for a very reasonable increase in spending, but allows for Virginians to keep more of their hard-earned dollars. Look, Democrats will always say, where are you going to get the money to replace it? And I have to tell you that is such a revealing question, because they never ask the taxpayer where you're going to get the money to replace it when they take the dollar from the taxpayer. That's the mentality. That's our money, and it's not the government's money. It is the hardworking people of Virginia who are paying those dollars, and I think we're in a position right now to be able to allow them to keep more of their hard-earned dollars while still being able to, according to current revenue projections, fully fund our education, transportation, public safety, and healthcare needs in the Commonwealth.
You know what? I love, Ed, what you just said. When there's a tax increase, nobody ever asks you how the family's going to make their money up. I mean, that's very well said there. I want to get very quickly. You also mentioned yesterday giving opportunity for local municipalities and counties to get rid of some of their local taxes that strangle business, like the B-poll fees and taxes. How does that work?
Yeah, let me just say, we, in addition to needing to be competitive as a state, embedded in our kind of business rankings and tax rankings are our city and county business taxes, which are very anti-business and anti-growth. The business professional and occupancy license tax that you mentioned, John, the B-poll, the dreaded B-poll, as I call it, the machinery and tools tax, the merchant capital tax, these are antiquated, very anti-growth local business taxes. And, I do think that for many cities and counties, they'd like to be able to replace them. We need to, from the governor's office and the assembly's perspective, give them some flexibility to do that, work with them in that regard to find innovative ways of replacing those taxes, not with tax increases, by the way, in revenue-neutral way, and not with a city or county income tax, which would offset the positive beneficial impact of an across-the-board rate cut, but innovative ways for them to replace it. If they determine that that's what's in their county or city's interest to do so, I think a lot of them will. Some of it won't make sense, given that their tax structure and the nature of their revenue streams. But I think if we can replace those in a lot of our cities and counties, it will help us as a state become more competitive, and it will help these cities and counties be able to attract more business formation, and more manufacturing in particular. And so we're going to sunset the B-poll, the merchant capital, and machinery and tool tax in the same 3-year period. We're phasing in the across-the-board rate cut of 10%. Mm-hmm. And the cities can vote to keep them if they want, and counties. And we'll work with them in a collaborative manner to identify replacements that would not be so punishing of business formation and business expansion. And so I think these two things combined I truly believe we'll be like a rocket ship. Virginia will be like a rocket ship, and we can be number one in economic growth in the country. I believe we can be, we should be. And these policies will be part of a broader economic agenda that I'm going to continue to roll out that includes regulatory relief, right, and education reforms, transportation policies. The voters of Virginia will know what I'm for and what I'll do as governor.
We're with Ed Gillespie, so everyone knows, Republican candidate for governor of Virginia. I got to say, I love this plan. We just the other day got another tax bill from the state of Virginia. I think in 16, we estimate we're going to pay $6,000, 10%. That's $600. That's real money. I think you're onto something here. And as far as these local taxes are concerned, B-poll and things like that, everybody that I talk to hates these things. I think you're onto something, no doubt. I want to get to a couple other issues, Ed. We got about 5 minutes. Number one, I had one of your opponents in studio yesterday, Frank Wagner, who is Senator Wagner in favor of increasing the gasoline tax in order to build roads and infrastructure in Virginia. And here's what he said yesterday. I'm not going to play the tape. I don't have time. But here's what he said. You've got 3 opportunities to pay for roads in Virginia. 1, increase the gas tax. Number 2, tolls, which you pay 2 to 3 times whatever it is, and they go on into perpetuity. Or don't have it. Just don't build any. How do you respond to that?
Well, look, Senator Wagner, it wasn't that long ago he voted for the largest tax increase in Virginia history for transportation. And that wasn't enough, apparently. We're back again. I don't think that's the right approach for us. I think we can meet our transportation needs without hitting up the taxpayers again. In fact, I obviously clearly think that we need across-the-board tax cuts of our individual tax rates. And I think we need to take some more innovative approaches. We can't just, look at the supply side. We do need to pave more roads. We do need more crossings. There's no doubt we need to invest in our infrastructure. But going back and raising taxes on Virginians, just what was it? Wasn't it like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, John? It was the largest tax increase in Virginia history was enacted to. And they said then this is going to fix our needs. And here he is back again. And I don't think that's the right approach. He's entitled to that point of view. I appreciate the fact that he's transparent about it. But I don't think it's the right approach for us right now. We need some more innovative ideas in terms of how we're spending our transportation dollars. We need to get more of our transportation money that we send to Washington back into Virginia. We need to be able to spend it as we see fit. We need to channel some of our transportation funding into some buckets where we don't have federal strings attached like they do in some other states in Florida, where we can get the money out the door much faster. So I'll have a transportation policy plan, just like I've got a tax plan and we'll have a regulatory relief and education reform plan, but it'll be different from what Frank is talking about.
All right, so what you're saying is you're not in favor of increasing the gasoline tax or having what Frank Wagner said would be the minimum. If gas prices go down, you have a minimum. You would not be in favor of that. Is that what I'm hearing?
Is he going to put a maximum on when the prices go up?
No.
This is the problem. People want money from the taxpayers. Always going to be a minimum, but never a maximum.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the right approach to raise taxes on hardworking Virginians when we have anemic economic growth, and we need to get our economy growing again. All
right, I got a couple more minutes. Dominion Power, I'm going to get back to Wagner. He's defended his Dominion Power rate deal 2015. Governor McAuliffe on our show a couple of weeks ago said, look, I signed it. It was a mistake. Bring it back to me. I will unravel it. They didn't get the Clean Power Act, so Dominion Power is getting a windfall. If you're governor, are you going to renegotiate that or have it stand?
If the federal government repeals the Clean Power Plan, which was the justification for that legislation, then in my mind, the justification is gone, and you've got to reappraise it. And the administration indicates that they intend to remove the Clean Power Plan and pull back the Clean Power Plan. And in that instance, I think you've got to look at it and say, well, if the justification for the bill being in place, and I understand the rationale and the impact of the Clean Power Plan. I mean, it was going to have a devastating impact in Southwest Virginia and across the Commonwealth. But if the reason for passing the bill is the Clean Power Plan, if the Clean Power Plan goes away, then I think you got to go back and say, well, then do we need the bill?
Okay, so it sounds like you would be open to renegotiating the rate deal. Is that what I've heard?
Very. I'd want to see what they do with the Clean Power Plan first. Is my point.
All right, that makes sense.
I think, John, that's the thing. Look, people ding me sometimes and they say, "Oh, I'm not going to shoot from the hip and say I want to see the information." But listen to what I'm saying. The justification for that bill was the imposition of the Clean Power Plan.
Right.
All right, that's a legitimate justification for a bill. I can see that. If the Clean Power Plan goes away, the justification for the bill has gone away. Now we got to take another look at it and say, all right, then doesn't the bill have to go away? But I want to see what happens with the Clean Power Plan. They've said they intend to, but they haven't. It's not been repealed yet. Let's see what they do. I sure hope they do. We need them to repeal the Clean Power Plan. And if they do, then the rationale for that bill has gone away, and we got to take another look at it. And I think if the rationale for the bill's gone away, that's a reason to not have the bill.
All right, final question, Medicaid expansion in Virginia. Here's why I'm bringing this back up. I battled in opposition to this for 36 months because I thought it was the fiscally irresponsible thing to do. I thought Obamacare would implode and Virginia be caught holding the bag for hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars that we couldn't possibly fund. Now the Ryan Care plan basically is rewarding the states that went for the Medicaid expansion, took the money, they get paid in perpetuity, and states like us, we get screwed on the two ends. We didn't get the $10 billion on the front end. We don't get the money on the back end, and now we're getting a block grant. It actually costs more money, and I feel like I've been duped into this whole thing by the Republicans in Congress. If you're governor, what would be your position on this?
That states that were fiscally responsible and acted responsibly and did not take the Medicaid expansion, and I would add to that, John, and are fiscally responsive in terms of our benefits package and benefits in Medicaid, and we're a 50-50 state as opposed to others that are 70-30 and higher. We're a fiscally responsible state, that we should not be punished for having been fiscally responsible and do the right thing. You are exactly right. The way this is structured right now rewards states like California, Illinois, New York, and punishes a state like Virginia, and that's wrong. And I've made that clear. That's my view, and they need to change that. That's my my opinion is they need to change that because when you reward bad behavior, you get more of it.
Yeah, well, there's no question about it. And the Republican states that went with it, John Kasich, Ohio, Vice President Mike Pence, Indiana, Asa Hutchinson, Arkansas, they're getting the benefit of it. We did the right thing. We get the short end of the stick on three ends. And so that has made me change my whole position on it. And so, look, we're out of time, but I really want to thank Ed Gillespie for being with us. A great conversation we had. For more information, you can go to edforvirginia.com, edforvirginia.com.